Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. I'm just making this video because I just want to leave you with my story. My auntie is really critically ill. She's just had an operation. She's had aneurysm of the brain. She's had a big operation where they've taken opened up her forehead and done the operation and then stitched her back up, and it went well, but within a day she's fallen critically ill again and has to have another operation, and I'm really worried about that. At the same time, I made a video last week saying I'd left YouTube, and I really have left YouTube. I don't want to be on YouTube, and I'm making this video because I just feel that enough's enough, and I feel that if the atheist community won't listen to me and show compassion, then I'm going to tell people what happened to me and be honest about it. And I don't want to get involved in any controversy, but I'm not letting the atheist community get away with what they did if they're not willing to show compassion on me when I have shown compassion on them. Now, like I said, my aunt is extremely critically ill, and I've asked the atheist community on YouTube to pull down 2 channels that they have on me. These channels have collected videos of mine that they don't have permission to use. We're not talking 10 videos, we're talking 1,500 videos each of these channels of my videos. Many of these videos are when I wasn't too good, that when I was a bit depressed, and I deleted them and they've put them up. And they misrepresent me because I had many scholarly videos that I lost in a controversy down to the atheist community. Now, after Christmas, I had a debate with dprjones, and I won dprjones, and he could have done a lot better, but he just didn't take it seriously. Now, after the debate, the atheist community and New Covenant group, which is a liberal Christian group, all waded into me and said I'd plagiarized in my debate. Now, all the source material in that debate was put under the video, and it was many arguments, many sources, many quotes, and I used Wallace for the first 5 minutes in that debate. But anybody who knows anything about apologetics would know the kind of sources I was using. It's kind of like turning up to a debate and reading passages of Hitchens. If you know anything about atheism, you'll know it was Hitchens. But anyhow, the atheists, because they lost, screamed, "Oh, Jason's plagiarized." But the thing is, they all waded in and they never give me an opportunity to come on their shows. And therefore I got really upset and angry, and I decided to leave YouTube, and I made a video that criticized Fundamentally Flawed Cast. They got really upset because they felt I was attacking one of their wives, which I wasn't. That led to me getting threats from atheists on my home phone. I got about 10 phone calls or even more threats. In the end, so I didn't phone the police because a few weeks before Christmas I had my table smashed by some gay guy. We hadn't said anything offensive, but he smashed our table because he took offence that we had a leaflet that was on the table saying someone got converted from being gay to Christian. And I reported it to the police, and the police didn't do anything about it. They didn't arrest the guy, and they didn't protect my rights. So I was not happy with the police, so I didn't phone the police. So I made a video saying I committed suicide, which was a stupid thing to do, and in the hope that these aggressive people who were phoning up and threatening me would leave me alone. I left this video up for an hour. I realised it was a foolish thing to do, and I pulled the video down. Now, the atheist captured the video and put it on this atheist channel that was an atheist archive channel on me. So they made it look as if I had committed suicide. They left this video up, and they still have this video up to this day. They left this video up, and people were becoming concerned that I had committed suicide. On top of this, some of the atheist community leaders who knew that I had not committed suicide because, number one, I pulled some of my channels down shortly after I pulled that video down because I was scared of the threats, and number two, I went to this channel and made a comment and made it clear that I was fine. So they knew. So maliciously they still kept the video up, and maliciously they began to talk about themselves, say, oh well, if he is that ill, we must, you need to be called out on this, Jason, this is serious. So basically they were going to be malicious and phone the police. 12 hours later they phoned the police, and the police came round. They said, why, what's the matter, what have you done? And I said nothing, and I told them that. They said, well, you put a video up. I said, I pulled it down. They said, no, it's up. So I took them upstairs and I showed one policeman. I said, look, that's not my channel, it's an atheist channel. Where the policeman said, well, don't go on YouTube. If this is what's going to happen and it gets you down, just ignore them and just leave, just leave YouTube and just ignore them. So the police went. I told my neighbours were shocked at the atheist community. Told my family, they were shocked at the atheist community that they would be so malicious. So this all started from cyberbullying from Matthew Maute, Dr. Jones, dprjones, and Ozzy, all who waded in on me and said I'd plagiarised and wouldn't allow me to come and answer their accusations. Then I decided to not get involved with YouTube with the atheist, and I left the atheist alone for 2 weeks. Then I get a letter through I get a letter through the post saying we would like to see you, my doctor, for a general checkup. So I went in, and my doctor basically say, are you well? Didn't you say you wanted to commit suicide? And basically was saying to me and said to me that she has the power to section me, and that she had a report from the police, from people who'd made these accusations that I was not well, and she read out that I had too many books in my office. These are what the people complained. And then she said, I suppose there's nothing wrong in having lots of books in your office. She says, you declared war on the atheist. And I had to say to her, well, Aaron Rad declared war on me. He's a famous atheist in America, and he declared war on me, and I declared war on him, and it was ideological. It was not personal. And she mentioned one or two other things, but she made it clear that if I made videos about atheism, I could get sectioned. I asked her why, and she told me why I was coming in. She said she tried to contact me. She hadn't tried to contact me. My family know this for a fact. We have this on record, that she did not try to contact me as a doctor. So she's going to be in serious trouble when I leave that practice, when I get time to leave. And she admitted that the police should have informed me. She said verbally, the police should have informed me what was happening. Now, that's what happened to me. And that all comes down to New Covenant Group and dprjones and Ozzy and many other atheists who made videos about me, and Matthew Maute accusing me of plagiarism, and then not once did they invite me onto their shows to answer their plagiarism charges of accusations that they made against me. So that was down to New Covenant Group, all this that happened to me, and dprjones and Ozzy. It was down to their accusations and Matthew Maute talking about me, accusing me, and then never giving me the opportunity or inviting me to answer those accusations. All this would not have happened if they weren't cyberbullying and ganging up on me. Now, I came home from my doctor's and I informed my family And I kid you not, my family were utterly disgusted and shocked at what happened. I was absolutely disgusted, because if anybody is really that ill, you don't do that kind of thing. You can't force anybody to do anything. If they really felt that I was so ill, then all they had to do was Skype me and put Good Samaritans on there or something like that. That's as far as they are legitimately allowed to go. What they did was utter cyberbullying, especially when you've got one of these people, one of their leaders, emailing me, threatening me at the time. And then I published that email, and then the person backtracked and said, oh, sorry, that was Jim Gardner, by the way, who threatened me. And then next few days says, oh, I didn't mean it. And then 2 weeks later he sends me an email saying, you're childish. And this is a guy who's supposed to be helping me by getting me sectioned. Threatens me and then sends me another email saying I'm childish. Was not a person who was out to help me. And then on top of this, we had harassment. I had harassment from the East Coast Atheist, where I had Duncan come on and force me into a conversation that I did not want to have about this whole thing. That was cyberbullying, and that was emotional rape, and I was profoundly hurt and upset by him coming on. And I pleaded with him to not come on. I pleaded with him to leave, and he would not. And this Atheist Archive channel edited the video to make it look as if I was bad. But if you look at the original video on my channel, and you look at the Persecuted Church Part 1 or Part 2, and you will find Duncan from East Coast Atheist coming on, and he was clearly harassing me. And then we had Alex from Fundamentally Flawed clearly harassing me coming on. Now, I made a nice video about Alex at Fundamentally Flawed, and I tried to encourage him and to be really nice to him and say, do your good videos, be really nice and you'll be okay. But I have to say that prior to that, he did lie to you as atheist community and the public. He made a video categorically stating that the atheist that a support officer got in contact with me about this going to the doctors. That is a categorical lie. That is an absolute categorical lie that he made on YouTube. And that's a serious lie, because if he was supposedly trying to help someone with mental health issues, then you can't be lying in public like that. You're dealing with people's mental health. And he made a very serious lie that I could have really hurt his YouTube career. And I'm telling you now, because these people need to be exposed, because they're not being honest and fair. I have an auntie who's in hospital, and she's possibly going to die. There's a good possibility that she might. And I want to leave YouTube, and I've pleaded with all these people who supposedly wanted to get me sectioned, if they really cared, that they would take these archive channels down. And they haven't. So I'm exposing them for the hypocrisy that they've shown. And so Alex from Fundamentally Flawed, they closed Fundamentally Flawed down. Why did they close Fundamentally Flawed? I tell you why they closed Fundamentally Flawed. Because they all had a meeting about me. They all talked about me and about getting the doctor to see me. And they made an application to the police, and they know that what they did was not right, and they know that they probably said things that they should not have said. And they know that if it backfired, Fundamentally Flawed would have been in serious trouble. So they disbanded Fundamentally Flawed, because what they did was that serious that if it was found out what they did, it could backfire on them. And that's why they closed Fundamentally Flawed. And they can try and cover it up as much as they can, but that's why they closed it. And Alex made a categorical lie. He said that a support officer was contacting me. They never contacted me. I had no contact from any police officer about me seeing a doctor. The police are going to be in serious trouble when I inform them about what they did without informing me. I haven't had time yet to phone them, to write a letter, but a letter eventually will be written to the police of Manchester and to my doctor about this situation. Now, I have tried to overlook this controversy, and I have tried to turn the other cheek, and I am turning the other cheek concerning these atheists. And all I want is to leave YouTube, because my aunt is really, really critically ill. And I am really enjoying my life. I am having a great time evangelizing. But I will not have you as an atheist community, when you're full of hypocrisy, having these archive channels on me, yet you're full of hypocrisy. Alex of Fundamentally Flawed is trying to expose presuppositionalism with this guy who's a racist and male chauvinist, who's not representative in any shape or form of Cornelius Van Til and Greg Banson. The Reform community likes Greg Banson's presuppositionalism, but Greg Banson was not perfect. He made mistakes, and he was into theonomy, and I don't agree with that. I made an article critiquing Greg Banson on homosexuality, and because he's using the Old Testament and trying to use the law of the Old Testament in politics, and I make a devastating critique of Greg Banson. So to try and use this guy who you've been using as a racist and a male chauvinist, and then say that's presuppositionalism, is just, when the Reform community would distance themselves a million miles from these kind of crackpots, shows how desperate some of these atheists are. And I'll not have you, Alex, making videos critiquing presuppositional apologetics when you have lied publicly to the atheist community and the Christian community. You said categorically in one of your videos that you pulled down recently, or maybe you put it back up, but you said that a support officer came to see me. No support officer came to see me, and you've made a barefaced lie. Now, they might have said they were coming, but you made it clear that they had contacted me, and they had not. I was taken in to go into the doctors I was led to believe it was a checkup, and it was an assessment for being sectioned. Okay? And no police officer got in contact with me about going to the doctors. So you made a barefaced lie. And also, I don't have evidence for this, but I suspect that dprjones, I suspect that other atheist leaders from other channels, such as Captain Awesome's channel and one or two other atheist channels, and maybe even wider, maybe even Aussie, or maybe other people, were involved in the consultation of this getting me to see the doctor, and East Coast Atheist, right? But if you representing all these people, you made a lie on their behalf that the police officer or support officer contacted me, and they did not. Now, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to follow this up. I will inform the police about the misrepresentation that they gave me of Manchester Police, and I will have to leave the doctors where I am, because I don't trust that doctor anymore, and find a new doctor. And yes, I do get depressed, especially at Christmas. I can get depressed, and I did come through a nervous breakdown 5 years ago, and so there is a part of me that was not well, but I wasn't so bad as to try and get me sectioned. And it's a mild depression where it can be set off by stress. The stress that dprjones, Aussie and New Covenant groups set off by accusing me of plagiarism and not asking me to come and answer their charges. That stress set me off on depression. Plus Christmas always makes me depressed. Okay? But that's personally to me. And I would not have made a video about suicide if it weren't for your community, many of them phoning me up and threatening me. And I would have informed the police about it, Manchester police, if they would have taken action prior to Christmas when my table was kicked over by a gay activist. And they didn't do anything about it. But I didn't inform the police because they never did anything about it. So if they didn't do anything about that, why are they going to do something about the phone calls? Okay? So I would ask dprjones, I would ask Alex, I would ask Captain Awesome, and I would ask New Covenant Group and Matthew Maute, and I would ask all the rest of you atheists out there who support these people, I would ask you to kindly please pull down these 2 channels, get in contact with these people and pull down these 2 channels, and let me look after my auntie who is critically ill, and probably there is a good chance that she will die, and I hope she doesn't die, but I am seriously having to deal with that at the moment. And you are being unfair as a community, having these 2 channels on me and not allowing me to get on with my life. And I would ask that you let me get on with my life and leave it at that. I'm not going to get involved in any controversy. I'm not going to be coming back making videos. But I'm not going to leave and allow you to get away with your hypocrisy, from the New Covenant Group to Matthew Maute to Ozzy to dprjones to Captain Awesome to Fundamentally Flawed to Jim Gardner and Alex. You're not getting away with your hypocrisy. You can't go around saying Jason's ill, get him to see a doctor, and then at the same time have 2 channels on me. It doesn't wash. You're being called out on hypocrisy. And that means you, Thunderfoot, you Iron, you Concordance, you're involved because you know dprjones, you know what he's been getting up to, and you should call him out on it, and you should tell him that he shouldn't have got involved with Fundamentally Flawed on these issues, that he shouldn't have been making accusations about me concerning plagiarism unless he called me in and asked me to talk to him face to face and talk about it on your show. So you're involved because you're implicated in allowing one of your colleagues to be involved in that, and also he's probably, I haven't got full evidence, but he's probably been advising Fundamentally Flawed when they tried to get me to see a doctor, and you should have called him out on that. And you, New Covenant Group, are also guilty of cyberbullying, because you've been watching all this going on, and you, who are supposedly Matthew Maute trying to be a bridge builder, did not try to build bridges, but you tried to isolate me, someone who was vulnerable and being bullied by many of the atheist community, and rather than standing up and saying, no, let's give this person an opportunity to speak, you actually ganged up on me as well. And you never tried to do any mediation. You didn't try to do any mediation when these people tried to get me to see a doctor and to be sectioned. So you are fake in the way you have presented yourself. And also you, Dr. Jones of New Covenant Group, you were fake. You saw what was happening. You pretend to be a person of compassion, and you never stepped in, and you never said anything or tried to help me in any shape or form. And then that goes for you as well, Bible thumping wingnut. I just want to say that to make a video and discuss about the guy who Alex brought up, the racist guy who's so-called reformed, and then for you to have a discussion about it was a disgrace. You shouldn't have even discussed it. You should not have even discussed about that particular topic, because you're half giving credence, even though you disagreed with it. It's as if you're taking it seriously. You should have dismissed it out of hand and said, this is disgraceful that you're accusing presuppositionalism or Calvinism or the Reform movement that we're racist in any shape or form. You should have just dismissed it and said it was disgusting. But to actually sit down and get two people on to talk about it and discuss it was a silly thing to do, and you played into the hands of Alex. But that's a little bit of what you deserve, because at the end of the day you're not here because you care about people, because you didn't care about me. You waded in. When I made that video against Fundamentally Flawed, it was in the context of the fact that I had dprjones, I had Matthew Maute, I had Ozzy, I had Dr. Jones and many other atheists accusing me of plagiarism, and not one of them gave me an opportunity to answer them back. And I was really upset and isolated and angry and East Coast atheist, and I didn't know what to do, and I was just leaving YouTube, and I got angry, and I shouldn't have done. And I was very depressed because of Christmas and because of this isolation. And you did not contact me privately and said, Jay, you know, what you said in that video was really not good. That's what you should have done. But what you did is you publicly made a statement about it, publicly. It says if a Christian has something wrong with another Christian, you go to them privately. And if they won't listen, you take another Christian. And you didn't do that. You publicly made an issue of it and said, Jason, you shouldn't be attacking this woman. Which I wasn't. I was not interested in Alex's wife. I was interested in Jim Gardner and Alex, because I think those two people were bullies and are bullies. And you didn't come to me privately, and you didn't say to me, Jay, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have said that. And I would have said to you, I shouldn't, I'm sorry. But you didn't. You made a public statement, because what you were doing is you were jumping on the bandwagon. Gets you a few extra views, gets you noticed. You're part of the drama of it all. And it was a short thing, and I needed Christians to support me and help me and be with me, and you weren't there for me, mate. So that's your Calvinism. That's your presuppositionalism put in practice. Doesn't mean a thing, mate. And I had one of your people, Tyndale, whatever his name is, Calvinist, come on and make a comment saying, oh, you deserve everything. Really compassionate Calvinism. And that's Calvinism for you, folks. Very compassionate. No, it's not. Very hard and very cold and very unloving. You want to throw your J. Adams Calvinist counselling in the bag and do some counselling that Jesus would do, which is compassionate counselling. So, Bible thumping wingnut, you made a big mistake when you started discussing about racism on your channel. You shouldn't have done that. That was a stupid thing to do, and you played into Alex's hands, and you deserved it, because at the end of the day, if you play with fire, you'll get burnt. And at the end of the day, I told one of your an actual atheist friend, I actually told him to warn you about not getting involved with Fundamentally Flawed. So I did care about you. At least I tried to help you. Okay? So I've said everything I have to say. Yes, I am responsible. I've made mistakes. I've failed. I've been hypocritical at times. I've said things I shouldn't have said. I was wrong. I admit that. And I have said sorry a number of times. But at the same time, you, Alex, have made mistakes. You made mistakes, Jim. You made mistakes, dprjones. You made mistakes, Captain Awesome. You made mistakes, Bible Thumping Wingnut. You made mistakes, Matthew Maute. You made mistakes, Ozzy. You made mistakes, Dr. Jones of New Covenant Group. You all made mistakes as well. And I'm calling you out on it. Okay? So I hope that you have compassion and understand that my auntie is seriously ill, that I am really enjoying life in terms of my work in mission work, and that I don't want to come back to YouTube and get involved in any controversies, and I would ask that you would pull those two channels down and leave me in peace. And if you do that, I will pull this video down and we won't have anything more to say about it. But the ball's in your court. and I'm leaving you with it. But you'll not get away with hypocrisy. I admit of my own hypocrisy, my own failure, but you need to be called out on your hypocrisy as well. Alright, thank you, and take care. God bless, and wish everybody well.